please welcome Mr. Jet Passan.
Yeah, baby.
God, I love this. I dressed up for you, AJ.
Thank you.
This is a monumental day.
It is a monumental day, Jet. Now, I know you've been a bit cagey. We're going to have to get right to it. You're a bit cagey on your tweets and everything you're doing on X. What's going on? The FBI's looking into stuff with the MLBPA, the NFLPA. What happened? What's going on? Any new information you have on this story?
AJ, we're still trying to figure out exactly what's going on. What we do know for sure is that there is an FBI investigation right now into the financial dealings of the Major League Baseball Players Association, the NFLPA, and this company that they created called One Team Partners that essentially serves to license the NIL for all of the players and try to make money. And they've done a phenomenal job of doing that so far. One of their original partners was named Redbird Capital, and Redbird Capital had a 40% stake in One Team Partners that it sold in 2022 at a $1.9 billion valuation. So this is big money that we're dealing with right now. And while we don't know the full scope of the investigation, anytime the FBI comes around asking questions of players, it's a big deal. And so this is a story that's unfolding right now, and we will keep digging in, myself and Don Van Natta, and try and get down to what the true facts really are.
Ty Schmidt has a question for you.
Yeah, Jet, what's the news going around about Orlando potentially wanting or potentially getting a new MLB team because of how many tourists go through that area and everything? But then, if I'm not mistaken, the MLB basically doesn't want a third team in Florida. Is that correct? And how likely or probable is this whole situation?
It's a really interesting question, Ty, and I was not expecting that one.
We'll get to the other one later.
We can. You know what? Why don't we answer? Come on, just give it to me now. It's like you're buttering me up.
Stop buttering
trying to. No. Just rip off the Band-Aid. Let's hear it, Ty.
Well, listen,
stop teasing him.
Jet, yeah, okay, fine. We'll go back to Orlando in a little bit because I actually am very interested about that whole situation. But everyone knows, or at least I personally think, you're a bit of a Yankee hater because you're from Kansas City. I know you're a big Royals guy, but
a big Royals guy.
Well, either you were at one time, maybe. No, actually, never mind. You're a Cleveland guy. Never mind. Excuse me. But that whole series, how good? Outside of the Saturday blowout game, which is kind of a dud throwaway, in your eyes, and like for the overall good of baseball, how important was this weekend series with the Yankees and the Dodgers?
I just love it when two really good teams get after it, man. And that's what this weekend was. And I appreciated very much that the Yankees got absolutely lambasted on Saturday and then came back against the Dodgers' best pitcher, the guy, who beat him in Game 2 of the World Series last year. We can go on and on about what Yoshinobu Yamamoto's been. What he was not is a New York Yankee, which Ty Schmidt once reported. But
True.
That being the case, they went after him, and they hit him, and they hit him hard. Ben Rice's home run to center field, I know it was a hanging splitter, but he hit the absolute snot out of that ball. And the Yankees showed they are a very, very good team. And the Dodgers, I think, showed, in spite of their injuries and the fact that they're behind the Cubs and behind the Mets. And, this isn't a team that's going to win 120 games like some people thought. They're still really good. And I would argue they're still probably the favorite to win the World Series at this point.
We're going to see him pitch anytime soon, Jet?
I hope so, man. He's throwing Shohei Ohtani's who we're talking about. And he's throwing bullpens right now. He's just, man, he's so good offensively. I just love watching every swing that he takes because he takes these swings with intent and with purpose to punish baseballs. He wants to hit the seams out of them. And at his size and with his skill and all of the ability he has, I could watch Shohei Ohtani hit only for the rest of his career and be perfectly satisfied as a baseball fan. But the fact that he's back on the mound, throwing bullpens at this point, trying to ramp back up so that he can be ready for those important games come September and October, I think he's going to get there. But we got to remember, this is so much different than the typical pitcher who's trying to come back from major reconstructive elbow surgery. Those pitchers get to rehab just throwing, get to go down to the minor leagues and have 30 days to get their stuff together against live hitters in live situations with crowds. Ohtani has none of that. And so what the Dodgers have to do here is be extremely judicious and not push him too far, and hopefully have him ramping up in the games, first start maybe 50 pitches, and then after that 60, and then after that 70, slowly, because what he's trying to do here, it's uncharted territory.
Yeah, it is. But do we know, is Shohei pushing? Is he pushing the Dodgers to try to get out there earlier? Like, does he want badly to go out there and pitch?
I think he's being smart about it. And the interesting thing about Shohei Ohtani, AJ, is that throughout the course of his career, he has more or less dictated what he does because there is no playbook. There is no script. Nobody knows how to handle two-way players and how to keep them healthy. And clearly that hasn't happened when it comes to his elbow. So I think going to the Dodgers in part, in addition to joining with Mookie Betts and Freddie Freeman and this machine of player development that they have, part of it was that the Dodgers have really smart people in that organization. Now, they still haven't been able to keep all of their pitchers healthy. So it's not like the Dodgers have it cracked and figured out. But at least I think Shohei Ohtani knows when they bring him information, it's not just going to be guess. It's not just going to be speculation. Like, there will be logic behind the ideals that they have.
Jet, I know Ty was teasing you earlier, but what about the Orlando situation, possibly getting another Major League Baseball team? Is that on the horizon?
I can more or less promise that there will not be 3 teams in Florida, because right now they have 2 teams and neither of them is really drawing. The Rays, granted, are playing at Steinbrenner Field right now after Hurricane tore the roof off of Tropicana Field. But even when they were at the Trop, they weren't really drawing. And the Marlins, they have a new ballpark. They built it and they did not come. And yet, you look at the situation with the Rays guys, and they don't really have a stadium beyond 2026 at this point. The hope is that the Trop is going to be rebuilt in time to open the 2026 season and that they could play there. But if that's not the case, they're kind of homeless, and they're sort of just floating in the wind right now. And a lot of people believe that Stuart Sternberg, the owner of the Rays, after the stadium deal collapsed there, is going to sell the team eventually. And perhaps there would be a buyer in Orlando at that point who could bring the Rays over from the Tampa Bay area to Orlando. It's an hour drive. It's nearby. Obviously the Magic have been successful there, but in terms of getting a third team in Florida, not going to happen.
Okay. Boston Connor?
Yeah, I mean, Jay, you should tell them they could come up to Indianapolis, Indiana as well. There's
I would love it.
Very nice baseball stadium here, even though I'm sure it would be a nightmare to play in. With all that being said, Jet, baseball aside, you had quite the night last night. And I know as we've been talking here, you've just been sitting waiting to address what you did. What the hell was this about? I mean, are you going to get sued for defamation for this guy? Because, boy, oh boy, you took him out to pasture. And I don't know if we have the next 2 as well, but Barry responded to your tweet and you went at it again. So what was this about? And was this one of your favorite Twitter interactions you've ever had? Because your bio says you bomb atomically, and it truly is something you do, because this was fantastic internet.
First off, thank you. That's a big compliment coming from you, and I sincerely appreciate that. Do you guys know who Barry is? Like, have you gotten Barried before?
Is that McCockiner?
Oh, that's him.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh.
Same guy.
Oh.
Yeah, same guy, just a new name. And look, if you can out-troll the ultimate troll,
sure,
you got to take the opportunity to do so. And I have developed a reputation on X for being somebody who takes no prisoners, and I would like to continue to do that, because when people come at you, like the internet's a tough place, man. Like, it is an unforgiving place, and it's like in The Wire. You just got to protect your corners.
I get it. I get it. Tone Diggs, with that being said, you got something?
Yeah, speaking of protecting your corners, I'm not sure if you've seen, but Don Kelly has got the Buccos playing salty ball.
Love Donnie Kelly.
Yeah,
love him.
Salty ball.
Yeah, Bubba Chandler's going to be up soon, so look for a Buccos run soon. But team that's not going to make a run, the 9-50 Colorado Rockies. Is there a rule? Do they have to play all 162, or is there a chance that the teams that have to play them in the second half of the season just get an off day?
I mean, they kind of do, right?
Yeah. But they got to show up to the park.
Yeah, they do have to show up to the park. I just look at what's going on in Colorado right now, and it makes me sad. You talk with executives around baseball, guys, and they look at the Colorado Rockies job as being something that they would like to do when they're in like their frisky age of executive-dom. Like when they can go in there and just try and run experiments, because it's like you're playing on the moon when you're in Colorado. We ran a story on ESPN.com. Coors Field turned 30 years old this year, and we went and looked back and talked with players who had been there, pitchers, managers, hitters, opponents, everyone, and just got this collection of stories about how it's not like real baseball there. And so the things that you might be able to do if you are a curious and interested and thoughtful executive are manifold. And yet the Rockies, what they have is the disease of complacency. They have done nothing different. They have not changed things. They are not one of the clubs that's toward the top, the middle. They're right at the bottom when it comes to innovation. Dick Monfort, their owner, has talked about the idea, if there's not going to be a salary cap in baseball, of having a cap to spend on technology and other things of that ilk, which is just, it's wild. And I think it speaks to how the Rockies have been run for all this time. They're just an organization that's a decade plus behind right now. And some of that goes back to ownership, some of that goes back to front office, but there's a reason that they are where they are right now, and it's fascinating to see. I mean, we see records like this in the NBA every so often. Like if the team is really, really bad, they'll get to 50 losses before they get to double-digit wins. We've never seen this in baseball before. And considering that this is happening the year after the Chicago White Sox set the new record for futility, that we could potentially see that again, it's just a shame what's going on with the Rockies right now. And yet, they are drawing 30,000 people to that ballpark every day because it is a gorgeous park, and people in Denver just like having a good time and watching a baseball game, and I love them for that.
What technology would he be talking about? Like, hey, Jumbotron, like we don't want to have to upgrade this? Like, I don't get it. What is that about?
We're looking more at like analytical models, and
he's saying we need to spend less on that. He wants to spend less or more.
He wants everybody to be at like the same baseline. Oh. He doesn't want the teams that have more money to go out and for example, there's this pitching machine called the Traject, and what the Traject machine does is it takes all of the data that gets captured by the cameras around the ballpark and determines, the spin on a ball and the spin axis and the velocity down to a 1/10 of a mile per hour. It inputs all of this data into this machine, and this machine, through all the things inside, not only can replicate every pitch that was thrown in Major League Baseball this year, like to an exacting degree, but it also has an image on the front of the machine of that pitcher himself and his delivery.
Sounds
right?
Awesome. It's amazing.
So you can essentially take batting practice against the guy who you are going to be facing that night. There are some organizations that have multiple trajects. There are some organizations that have none. And I think the idea that Dick Monfort has is to level that playing field so everyone's the same. But, at what point do you stifle innovation by doing that? At what point is everything too similar? And I think it's a fair thing to say that this is a real problem in baseball, where if we're not encouraging teams to go out and be the absolute best that they can be at all times, what's the point of even playing the games? What's the point?
Ty?
Jet, the artist formerly known as Jack Tani when he was at Florida, Jack Caglione is getting called up by the Royals. Now, I don't know, maybe for like casual fans, this is kind of like whatever, but you look at his numbers and what he's been doing in AA and AAA. Yep. Do you think he's the type of guy who's going to come in and make like an immediate impact and be like one of those future superstars in the next couple years? Because obviously if you watch him play, like he is absolutely electric. Like, do you see him as being one of those really marketable guys who we'll talk about in like this, maybe not the same sentence, but like up there with the Judges and the Ohtanis of the MLB?
Ty, I know you said that this is the kind of guy that maybe the casual fan doesn't really know about. They should. And I think they're going to. Because let's put it this way. This is what Jack Caglione is. He is a guy who has the kind of power that Aaron Judge and Shohei Ohtani have. And there are very, very few guys in baseball who can say that. And even more, he has really good bat-to-ball skills. So he doesn't strike out a whole lot. The problem is Jack Caglione will go out of the zone and swing at pitches that are chases far more often than either you like to see or far more often really than any productive or like MVP level Major League Baseball player does right now. And the reason that the Royals hadn't called him up at this point is because he was adjusting to a new position in outfield and they wanted to see improvement in the chase. The guy is so skilled though, 6'5", 250 pounds, like absolute unit. And even if he does not get off to like an incredible start, he's going to hit a ball 450, 475 feet, just like that you're going to see and say, oh my God, how does a human being do that? And when you have him and Bobby Witt Jr. in the same lineup together, if Jack Caglione is what evaluators believe he's going to be, the Royals are going to have perennial MVP candidates hitting back-to-back in that lineup.
Ooh. Jet, isn't that kind of like a reps thing to where you're going to, as you get older, as you get more reps, you're going to stop chasing balls out of the zone? Like, isn't that kind of a normal progression for a young player?
Not always. It's a really fair question. And you would think that would be something that every player, right, once they see more pitches at the big league level, would improve on. But it tends to be that chase stays the same unless guys really spend a lot of time and energy and effort working on it. And in Jack Caglione's case, it's really the only ding against him at this point. But it's about swing decisions and pitch recognition, AJ. And that's the sort of thing that as you get older, maybe it improves a little bit, but you don't tend to see those huge leaps where guys who swung a ton earlier in their career all of a sudden get much more judicious as they get older. It's kind of like, Tiger and Stripes. Like, you are the hitter that you are, and there can be some incremental improvements, but I don't think we're going to see the guy like turning into Juan Soto, who's swinging at only 15% of the pitches outside of the zone, as opposed to Caglione, who's at 35 or so.
Okay, all right. Boston Connor?
Yeah, Caglione, absolute weapon. I feel like I, as a casual, learned about him at the College World Series, Jet, and now, this past weekend, college baseball had a hell of a time. Is there a star of this tournament you kind of expect to really shine, to really go, to put himself on the map, like Skenes-esque? I'm sure he's already on the map for the baseball people, but for the casuals, right, is there anybody that we should be looking at to perform very well, or did a lot of those guys get eliminated with all the upsets this weekend?
I was going to say, we saw the number 1 team in the country, Vanderbilt, get bounced. We saw the number 2 team in the country, Texas, get bounced. LSU with Cade Anderson, who I think might be the guy to answer that question. LSU, lost a game against a team that nobody thought they were going to lose against. And this to me is like baseball in a nutshell. It's just the kind of game where a team can come out of nowhere and go and knock off one of the big boys. And it's what I appreciate about the sport. Like, you don't have to be the most talented. You don't have to throw the hardest. You don't have to hit the farthest. You don't have to run the fastest. You can still win baseball games against more talented teams. And it's the beauty of this tournament. I'm not going to say like it's June Madness that we're dealing with here, but it's got some of those same elements to it. And it's not, last year the number 1 team in the country and number 1 seed in the tournament ran the table. Clearly, that's not going to happen this year. And are we going to end up, in a situation where there's another Coastal Carolina? It's the beauty of what's going on right now in college baseball. And when just looking forward to the draft in July, there's no clear number one overall pick like Skenes was. Well, I guess Skenes wasn't even a clear number one overall pick because Dylan Cruz was in that draft as well, and there were questions about that. But there's no obvious top guy who's going to ascend to the top of prospect lists. The favorite at this point, actually, to go is Ethan Holiday, who is Jackson Holiday, the Baltimore Orioles second baseman's brother, and the son of, I believe, 9-time All-Star Matt Holiday, who, if Ethan goes number one, he and his wife Leslie will now have 2 children who went number one overall in the MLB draft.
It's amazing. Last thing we have here for you, Jet. Juan Soto. This guy's been on a pretty good run in these last, 2, 3, 4 games. Do you expect this to continue, everything that he has been doing?
Well, it helps when you're facing the Rockies. That's true. It does. It helps when you're facing a team that's 9-50. They're easier to hit off of. Not a novel concept. But I have not lost faith in Juan Soto. He has been too good throughout his career and is still young enough where it's not like he's going to be losing any of the things that brought him to this point. When you get the largest contract in North American professional sports history, guys, there are things that come along with that, things that are unexpected. And it's very easy for us to look past those human parts of it. Because the guy's getting paid $765 million. And because, hey, guy, deal with it. That's what the money's for, like Don Draper said. But I think Juan Soto, at the end of the day, and at the end of this season, is going to be a very positive and contributing member of a New York Mets team that's going to go into the postseason with legitimate World Series aspirations.
I lied about last question. Boston Connor has one last thing.
Yeah, sorry, Jed. I have to ask. Red Sox land. Everyone just wants these prospects to get called up to the majors. What's going to happen there? Are we going to see these top prospects? Because I believe they got 2 or 3 of the top 10 in all of the MLB to kind of be those next dudes. Are these guys going to get a chance here soon? I think Mayer was playing third base the other day for us, but what? No, not John Mayer, Marcelo Mayer. But will these other guys get called up soon, or what do you think happens there?
Christian Campbell's up already, and he had an awesome April and an absolutely abhorrent May. Marcelo Mayer, not related to John Mayer, is now filling in at third base with Alex Bregman on the injured list. The one everyone in Boston wants, though, is Roman Anthony. And Roman Anthony's the best of the bunch. He is the number one prospect hunter in all of baseball. And as the Red Sox struggle, I know, you got him, but he's still not there. And I talked with Craig Breslow, the chief baseball officer for the Red Sox last week, and he brought up some points that are understandable. Like the Red Sox, despite just being mid right now,
dude,
they have a lot of good individual players at this point. You're not going to move Jarren Duran out of left field. Saddam Rafael is the best defensive center fielder in baseball this year. Wilyer Abreu has been, the third best hitter on this Red Sox team behind Alex Bregman and Rafael Devers. And so where are you finding at bats for Roman Anthony? That's the question. But it's one that if you move Rafaela to the infield, he plays second base, he plays shortstop. You move him to the infield, and all of a sudden you have a spot in the outfield for Roman Anthony. Rafael Devers being a designated hitter really sort of hinders things, but maybe he winds up shifting to first base at some point this season. Wow. And that just opens up all sorts of options and possibilities. So I don't know if the Red Sox in 2025, guys, are going to be all right. I do believe that the Red Sox in 2026 and beyond are going to be an absolute force to be reckoned with in the American League East, and that this team is set up extremely well for the future.
Well, appreciate that, Jed. That's awesome. Actually, another quick one. I know I told you last one a long time ago. Don't worry about it. Jed, you're giving us too much good info. We're entering into the baseball, the prime time of baseball. It's June 2nd. Between now and, let's say, August 2nd, what's the biggest thing that's going to be going on with this Major League Baseball? What are you looking at? What's going to be a big story? Who's going to make a push to become the next big squad that we want to watch?
It's a great question, and AJ, you are catching me in the midst of actually writing about that right now. I believe tomorrow we're going to have our first trade deadline preview on ESPN.com, where I go over all 30 teams, what they have, what their objective is, and what we can expect from them between now and the July 31st deadline. So cross-promotion alert. Cincinnati. No, I don't. I have the Reds right now I have a category called tweeners, because we do not know if they are going. We don't know if they are going to buy. We don't know if they are going to sell. We don't know what they're going to do right now. The Reds pitching has been incredible this year. Andrew Abbott has a 1-something ERA. Hunter Green's been great. Nick Lodolo. They could trade Brady Singer or Nick Martinez, or maybe they go out and add some offense, because beyond Ellie De La Cruz and Austin Hayes, there just has not been a whole lot from that Cincinnati lineup, which is really disappointing, because they have a lot of young players who I think they came into this season believing we're going to hit.
Yeah, another team that was really believing was the Buccos. I'm sure that maybe they are believing again. The Skenes trade stuff, that's kind of died down, right, Jed? Is that kind of dead?
Okay. So I'm glad you brought this up, because I feel like we started something last time I was on this show. I was merely suggesting that being open to the possibility of a Paul Skenes trade is something that I think smart teams would do. Now, I understood this pissed off people in Pittsburgh, because finally they have someone that they can root for. Finally, they have something they can look forward to every 5 days. And here's this turd wearing a tie coming in and suggesting that they get rid of that guy. I get the anger from the Pittsburgh side. And just to be clear, the Pirates have no intention of trading Paul Skenes at this point. And I think part of that, guys, is because when we've seen pitchers of or near his caliber get traded in the past, it's usually been with like 2 seasons before they can reach free agency. Paul Skenes does not reach free agency for another 5 years. So trying to value that properly, I was talking with the general manager yesterday about this. I was like, what would you give up for Skenes? And he said, I think that if I were the Pirates, I would want 10 players coming back. And that's just not something that we're willing to do for anyone, let alone a guy who throws 100 miles per hour and has the inherent arm injury risks that Paul Skenes does because he throws so hard.
He doesn't have any.
I mean, just because other people hurt their arm doesn't mean he's going to hurt his arm, Jet. Like, why do you have to?
Also, you guys weren't paying attention. Right? Ever since Don Kelly took over, they were playing salty ball. And they got robbed on Friday night of a win. Okay?
Okay.
You know what? I gotta say, I am a huge Don Kelly fan.
Thank you.
And I love the fire. I think he's a smart guy. I think he has great feel in the clubhouse. Players are going to love him. He's put in the time, put in the effort, put in the work. I just hope that everything that surrounds him in Pittsburgh, all the way up to ownership, is as good as he is.